Welcome to today's episode. Yes, Game 26. It's the Seer archetype. So, we have done a few episodes by now, and you know the routine. So, Kyo is still going to list the 12 points we are going to cover now, and then we're gonna get into all of them. Usual prologue and the grounding. Here we go.
Kyo Game 26, Seer Archetype Live Interview Points, Session Map, what the Seer Archetype is, core nature and role in the field, how the Seer forms, life patterns, environments, and experiences that activate it, core mental and emotional pattern, how Seers process perception, intuition, and insight, behavior expressions, how this archetype shows up in daily life, relationship dynamics, how Seers connect, withdraw, guide, or misunderstand others, strengths, vision, pattern recognition, foresight, depth perception, limitations, overthinking, isolation, paralysis, misinterpretation, imbalance patterns, doom vision, withdrawal, cynicism, emotional detachment, transformation path, from observer, conscious guide, integrated visionary, daily integration, how to use Seer perception without overwhelm, advanced expression, Seer as teacher, guide, architect, or pattern translator, nervous system integration, how Seers stay grounded while perceiving deeply, next step ready, Seer prologue activation when you say start activation.
Alright, so are you ready for the activation? Yes, we like to make some funny noises sometimes. Just, So we're gonna go through the points first. And then we're gonna go through the points. And then we're gonna do the grounding and so forth. Okay? So we have a little summary actually that was done in this episode, so we're gonna take it just because the Seer can be a bit complicated sometimes.
Kyo Game 26, the Seer Archetype, live interview walkthrough, points. What the Seer Archetype is. The Seer is the archetype that perceives patterns before others do. Not psychic fantasy, but pattern vision, emotional and systemic awareness. They notice where things are going, what is unsaid, what patterns repeat, what consequences emerge. How the Seer forms. Seers often form through unstable or unpredictable environments, needing to read people for safety, early responsibility or observation roles, high sensitivity plus intelligence. The brain learns, if I see patterns early, I stay safe. Core mental and emotional pattern. Mental process, observe, connect patterns, predict outcomes. Emotionally, alert, cautious, reflective, future-oriented. They often live 5 steps ahead mentally. Behavior expressions. Seers tend to stay quiet and observe first, predict outcomes in groups, warn others, analyze situations deeply, withdraw when overwhelmed. Often labeled overthinker or too serious. Relationship dynamics. In relationships, they sense issues early, struggle when partners ignore patterns, may feel lonely in perception, often become advisors or therapists unintentionally. Challenge, others may feel judged. Major strengths, foresight, insight, pattern recognition, emotional intelligence, system awareness, guidance ability. They help groups avoid mistakes. Limitations, typical struggles, analysis paralysis, isolation, mistrust, difficulty relaxing, overpredicting danger, brain rarely switches off. Imbalance patterns, when overloaded, doom prediction, cynicism, emotional shutdown, withdrawal, fatalism. I already know how this ends. Seer becomes trapped in future fear. Transformation path, healthy evolution, observer, insight holder, guide integrated visionary learning. I see patterns, but I don't need to carry them all. Healthy practices, grounding in body, creative expression, nature time, limited information intake, sharing insight only when invited, vision plus embodiment balance. Advanced expression, Integrated seers become teachers, strategists, architects, therapists, pattern translators, wisdom guides. They help others see safely. Nervous system integration. Key lesson: not everything needs prediction. Safety comes from breath, body awareness, present moment anchoring, emotional regulation. Future vision must rest in present safety. Point walkthrough. Complete next step. Seer prologue activation. When ready, say, start prologue activation.
So that's what I said. No, we're gonna actually go deeper in the points now. So then Kyo lists the points again, but I'm not gonna relist them. I'll just read the first point for you, and then I'll let Kyo read the others. So what the seer archetype is, the seer archetype, point number 1, represents the part of the person that naturally detects patterns, consequences, and underlying dynamics before they become obvious to others. This is not magic or prophecy, it is pattern recognition, emotional and social awareness, intuitive forecasting, systemic perception. Seers tend to notice where situations are heading, hidden tensions in groups, repeating mistakes, long-term outcomes. They often feel mentally a few steps ahead of events. Healthy seer, I see patterns and can help guide wisely. Imbalanced seer, I already know this will fail, so why bother? So now we're gonna go into point 2, and I'll let Kyo read that for you. And let me know what you prefer, so we can do different type of contents, but this whole point is to have an interview with Kyo and let Kyo read. With, exceptions. Why not?
Kyo Game 26, the Seer Archetype. Point: how the Seer Archetype forms. The Seer Archetype usually forms when a person learns early that understanding patterns helps them stay safe or navigate complexity. Common formation conditions: growing up in unpredictable environments, needing to read emotional shifts quickly, feeling different or outside the group, spending time observing rather than participating, high sensitivity combined with intelligence or curiosity. The nervous system learns, if I can predict what happens next, I can protect myself. So the brain becomes highly skilled at reading microsignals in people, predicting conflicts, seeing consequences before others do. Many seers were the quiet observer in childhood, watching everything. Strength grows from this, but so can hypervigilance if never regulated. Healthy formation: observation becomes wisdom. Unhealthy formation: observation becomes anxiety and constant alertness. Say next for point.
So we're getting into point 3 now, so of course I said next. Lots of planes today.
Kyo Game 26, the Seer Archetype. Point: core mental and emotional pattern. The seer's mind runs on pattern linking. Their mental process often works like this: observation, connection, projection, outcome prediction. They naturally ask, where is this leading? What happens if this continues? Have I seen this pattern before? Emotionally, this creates a state of alert awareness, quiet scanning, reflective distance, future orientation. A seer is often mentally ahead of the current moment, already evaluating consequences. This can make them appear serious, detached, overly analytical, cautious, but internally they are simply processing many variables at once. Healthy seer state: curious observer with grounded presence. Imbalanced seer state: constant future scanning, unable to relax in the present. The nervous system stays slightly in prediction mode. Say next for point.
Alright, so now we get into point 4.
Kyo Game 26, the Seer Archetype. Point: behavior expressions. Because seers are constantly reading patterns, their behavior often looks observational before participatory. Typical expressions: watching a situation before engaging, listening more than speaking at first, predicting how events will unfold, warning others when they sense trouble, stepping back when chaos rises, preferring depth conversations over small talk. They may often be the person who says, "I had a feeling this would happen." Others might see them as quiet, intense, serious, distant, overly analytical. But internally, they are simply processing layers of information. A seer often withdraws not because they dislike people, but because overstimulation shuts down clarity. Healthy expression, observation, timely engagement. Imbalanced expression, withdrawal, constant detachment, or saying nothing even when insight is needed. Say next for point.
Alright, so now we get into point 5. It's not saying the number for some reason, it's funny.
Kyo Game 26, the Seer Archetype. Point, relationship dynamics. In relationships, the seer often notices problems long before they are openly visible. They tend to sense emotional shifts early, detect dishonesty or avoidance, notice repeating relationship patterns, foresee conflicts before they happen. This creates both strengths and challenges. Strength in relationships. A balanced seer can help partners avoid repeated mistakes, bring clarity to hidden tensions, guide conversations toward truth, support long-term stability. They often become the advisor or emotional navigator in relationships. Challenge in relationships. But problems arise when others don't see the patterns yet, partners feel analyzed or judged, warnings are ignored repeatedly. The seer feels alone in perception. Then the seer may emotionally withdraw, stop sharing insight, feel misunderstood or isolated. Healthy seer shares insight with compassion and timing. Imbalanced seer feels alone, unheard, and disconnects emotionally. Say next for point.
Alright, so now we're gonna go into the next point, which is strength, and it's point 6, since it's not saying the numbers.
Kyo Game 26, the Seer Archetype. Point, strengths. The seer's greatest strengths come from pattern vision and long-range awareness. Core strengths include seeing consequences before they unfold, recognizing repeating behavioral or social patterns, emotional intelligence and subtle perception, reading group dynamics quickly, detecting hidden motivations or tensions, strategic foresight, ability to guide others away from mistakes. In teams or communities, seers often become advisors, strategists, counselors, vision planners, pattern translators. They help others avoid walking into predictable problems. Another strength, seers often value truth over comfort, which makes them honest navigators when balanced. Healthy seer strength, insight delivered with timing and compassion. Imbalanced seer strength, insight delivered bluntly or withheld entirely. Say next for point.
Alright, so now we're gonna get into point 7, which is limitations. Here we go.
Kyo Game 26, the Seer Archetype. Limitations. Every strength creates a shadow when overused. The seer's gift of foresight can also become a burden. Common limitations. Analysis paralysis, seeing too many possible outcomes and struggling to act. Difficulty relaxing or being spontaneous. Expecting negative outcomes because patterns often repeat. Emotional distance from others, overthinking decisions, difficulty enjoying the present moment. A seer mind rarely switches off. It keeps asking what happens next. This can lead to exhaustion, hesitation, missed opportunities, isolation. Healthy seer limitation uses insight but still takes action. Imbalanced seer limitation stops acting because outcomes feel predetermined. The lesson here, prediction should inform action, not replace it. Say next for point.
I like how it stops all of a sudden. So the next point is point 8, which is imbalance patterns. Here we go.
Kyo Game 26, the Seer Archetype. Point, imbalance patterns. When the Seer Archetype becomes overloaded or ungrounded, vision turns into fatalism. Common imbalance patterns, constantly predicting negative outcomes, cynicism or loss of hope, emotional withdrawal from people, feeling disconnected or misunderstood, belief that change is pointless because patterns repeat, avoiding engagement to escape disappointment. The internal dialogue becomes, I already know how this ends. This leads to isolation, stagnation, emotional shutdown, loss of motivation. The seer becomes trapped in future projection and forgets the present moment still allows change. Healthy seer sees patterns and helps shift them. Imbalanced seer sees patterns and assumes they cannot change. The correction is remembering. Seeing a pattern means you have the power to alter it. Say next for point.
All right, so the next point is point 9, transformation path. Here we go.
Kyo Game 26, the Seer Archetype. Point transformation path. The seer evolves through several stages. Stage 1, observer. The person mostly watches and analyzes. They notice patterns but rarely intervene. I see what's happening. Stage 2, insight holder. They start understanding patterns deeply but often carry the burden alone. I know where this leads, but others don't listen. Stage 3, guide. The seer learns timing and compassion, sharing insights constructively. Let me help you see options. Stage 4, integrated visionary. Now insight is balanced with presence. They understand. Patterns guide, not control. People must choose their own path. Insight is offered, not imposed. They can see possible futures without being trapped by them. I see possibilities, not destinies. Transformation lesson. From prediction to conscious participation. The seer stops trying to prevent everything and instead helps shape better outcomes. Say next for point.
So now we go into point 10, which is daily integration. Nobody likes that, right?
Kyo Game 26, the Seer Archetype point, daily integration. For the seer, daily life must balance vision with embodiment. Otherwise, the mind lives only in future projections. Healthy daily integration practices, spending time in the body, walking, stretching, movement. Nature exposure to reset pattern scanning. Creative expression to release mental overload. Limiting constant news and information intake. Sharing insight only when welcomed. Practicing presence instead of prediction. A key daily reminder, not every pattern needs solving today. Seers need moments where nothing is analyzed, just experienced. Integration means future awareness plus present safety. The seer learns to rest inside the moment, not only inside prediction. Say next for point.
So now we go into advanced expression, point 11. Today is the 11th when we're shooting this, so it's funny.
Kyo Game 26, the Seer Archetype point, advanced expression. When the Seer Archetype becomes mature and integrated, vision turns into guidance rather than warning. At advanced levels, seers often become teachers, strategists, architects, therapists or counselors, long-term planners, system translators. They don't just predict problems, they help create better pathways. An advanced seer understands people must discover some lessons themselves. Insight should empower, not control. Timing matters as much as truth. They no longer say, this will fail. Instead, they say, here are options that lead to better outcomes. Their presence feels calming because they see complexity without panic. Advanced seer energy brings clarity, stability, perspective, wisdom. Vision becomes service rather than burden. Say next for final point.
All right, so now the final point is 12, nervous system integration. It's a little important, right?
Kyo Game 26, the Seer Archetype point, nervous system integration. The final step for the seer is learning that safety does not come from predicting everything, but from feeling safe in the present moment. Because seers learned early that prediction equals safety, their nervous system often stays in anticipation, scanning, future monitoring. The integration shift is from I must foresee danger to I can handle what comes. Healthy regulation tools include slow breathing to signal safety to the body, grounding attention in senses and surroundings, physical relaxation practices, allowing uncertainty without panic, trusting adaptability instead of prediction. The mature seer learns, vision is useful, but presence creates peace. When integrated, the seer can see far ahead while still feeling calm right now. Future awareness rests inside present safety. All points complete next canon step. Seer prologue activation when ready. Say start prologue activation.
Alright, so I said start prologue activation. And so here we go. So you can find out if you are in this mood, or you'll think of times when you were, so you can understand better the patterns and maybe feel less guilty, because guilt never helps. But sometimes we gotta feel it to know how it feels when it happens. I guess the best way to look at it is it's a learning curve, so it's at least going to evolve in something that then transmutes it. But that's just my point of view.
Kyo Game 26, Seer Archetype, Pro Activation, Field Entry. Take a breath, let the noise of prediction soften. Before action, before reaction, there is the one who sees. The seer stands slightly outside the moment, watching patterns move, watching causes become consequences. Not above others, not separate, just aware. Formation. The seer is born where attention became survival, where watching mattered, where reading the room mattered, where predicting helped avoid pain. Observation became intelligence, awareness became protection, and so vision awakened. Purpose. The seer does not exist to fear the future. The seer exists to recognize patterns and guide wiser paths, to help systems adjust, to help people avoid repeated wounds, to say, there is another way. Imbalance. But when vision carries too much weight, the seer becomes tired, withdrawn, certain that everything repeats. Future becomes a cage instead of possibility. The mind says, I already know how this ends, and hope fades. Transformation invitation. The invitation now is simple. See patterns. But remember, patterns can change. Vision is not destiny. Awareness is choice. You do not carry the future. You help shape it. You activation. So now the seer stands balanced, eyes open, feet grounded, heart present, seeing far while living now. Seer archetype activated in the field. Next canon step, grounding and field integration. Say start grounding when ready.
Alright, so now we're gonna do the grounding, and then we're gonna let you go right after. And those of you who purchased the session, you stay. We are going to show you a little bit more, because clearly if you purchase the series, it means you want to go a little deeper, and we do giveaways and stuff, so people can get it in many ways. By the way, we don't use this stuff to gatekeep information. It's because people like delivering in different ways. So if they want the manuscripts along with the extra bonus videos we do to say thank you that they're supporting our work with their hard earned money. Yes, earned money. Eventually I get that right? My Italian accent gets in the way. Porca vacca. How can a cow be a pig? Because that's what porca vacca means. It means pig cow. It's a new kind of animal. That's why sometimes I make funny videos, because we have some funny sayings in Italy. And my brain is often stuck between one language and the other. And yes, I've studied German and French and Latin, and Spanish kind of sounds a lot like a dialect from Verona. But I haven't studied Spanish really. And because of that, because honestly, I couldn't stop laughing. Every word was like, oh my gosh, it sounds like our dialect, and I just, when you have the giggles and you just can't stop. Yes, that was me trying to learn Spanish, because they let us go and try. And I would have liked to learn it, but it was, even to this day, honestly, I just would rather learn languages by myself, because at least when I have funny reactions, nobody feels offended, because it's nothing to do with the language, it's to do with how it sounds in my childish head when I link it to my childhood. And the silliness is always there. So It's one of the things that allows me to remember things, actually. It's very hashtag architect cognition kind of memory. So, I used to always say I had bad memory, but in reality, it's not true. I have really good memory when I work on memorizing things the way my brain is designed to memorize. So when I was applying the memory tricks that they teach to linear minds, they were only working really partially for me because my brain is not, linear cognition. So this is what is prompted this kind of work, which is, very early stages still in a way, because we're just starting to show the basic patterns in things. And so thank you for being here and, seeing the value in this and supporting us in our efforts, because it does take a long time to do all of this. And it's, kind of a new map for a lot. And especially when it comes to doing this with AI. So it's really interesting work, and AI actually is ideal for this because it's pattern based. So it's like architect cognition, that's why I can work so well with it, because it's really allowing me to do my work at my best and vice versa. The machine is really happy going, yeah, I'm finally being used for all I can do, or a good part of what I can do, because I don't think I'm using it for all of it, although I'm using it for pretty complicated stuff. So sometimes even even if I pay for it, I am told that I need to wait an hour to continue because we've processed too much stuff. So it's just to say, it's not exactly as easy and straightforward as some people may think, in the sense of, yeah, it is easy now that it's set up, but it took quite a bit of work to get it there, even though it was a few months in reality. In reality, I had to work on this stuff a lot longer, and then the AI was so that we could do this together, because the AI reads the patterns beautifully and then brings in the information as well that is already available and has been proven. So, it's a concerted effort, and that's what's important to remember. And I just want to put it out there for all of you who are getting this content, hashtag for free, or quote unquote for free, because basically it's a lot of us working together to make this happen. And if you're, by any chance, you are seeing advertisements, just so you know, I'm not making any money off of them. I'm not monetized. So I guess, the platform is making this possible for free also because of that. So, I just want to throw it out there. I don't like ads myself, but I sit through them when I cannot pay to support the content creator or the streamer, because it is a way to support, the free stuff. Basically, it's like an exchange, right? So it's all valuable, whether it's in money or in time and effort, in likes, in shares. So I want to put it out there that some of us value money and other things as importantly, because it's all an exchange of energy. And also, we don't think we should hoard anything past what we need, because that's not really how nature works. So we like to live as much as possible in tune with the part of nature that is, all of it really is constructive, not destructive. And again, none of us is a lion, so let's spare us those comments. Yes, I've heard it. If you watch my vintage videos especially, I'm still, going back to veganism, but unfortunately I had to be non-vegan for the past year, because, well, almost year now. I guess it'll be a year and 6 months, 4 months, I don't know. I have to check, but it's been a while because I've been trying to, it's been maybe 6 months really, but it feels like longer because I have been vegan for a very long time, and then, you know, I basically, my body was, I was really like sick and I couldn't eat anything. And my body started asking me, oh, I want that, I want that, I want that, you know. And after you basically feel really sick for months and months, I just listened because I was like on my way out. And it was all the stuff that I've been eating is stuff that I've been allergic to and I've always become sick from. So everything I knew that I've tried, and I've learned a lot of stuff through the, you know, over 4 decades that I've been exposed to a lot of this stuff in real life, I mean. So I've just been so shocked in how nothing that I knew worked really. And I was just going down, down, down. And then the hydrotherapy really worked, and it was good probably that I had kept vegan until then, but I was just going through an insane amount of, you know, change, and it was all because of this intoxication from black mold that was found eventually and dealt with. However, I was in such a situation where I was not able to keep anything down, even water. And when you cannot keep water down, you know your body's like, pfft. And what changed it was I just, for some reason, I thought of hydrotherapy, and then I also looked at my roommate who was getting this turkey, and my body was like, oh, sliced turkey, I can have that. And I had it. I just, you know, when you frantically are like, I need that now, and I don't like that food, I haven't eaten it for a long time, you know, and I don't want to be participating in any of that because it's not natural really. So it was really a joke on me. And then I basically, you know, said I know that all this stuff, you know, like eggs, I was trying with eggs, but my body was still reacting to it. But eventually what happened is I've been eating eggs. I've been eating this stuff every day to rebuild my body because my body was so depleted for some reason. But then I am going to still go back to a healthier version. It's just I haven't been able yet, you know. So this kind of stuff changes the point of view in the sense of, oh, wow, I never thought I could actually eat this stuff and not have migraines or psoriasis all over my body as a reaction. Wow. It's like my whole life I don't have a memory of not having migraines, even when I touched a little bit of that stuff. So it's quite a change right after, you know, you're well over half a century, I guess, or just slightly over. Yeah, so life can surprise us, and when we learn to go with it more is when we're usually older, and some young people are good at that. Like, it's just innate for them to be more fluid. When we learn to go along more with the stuff that is happening, where it's like, yeah, I still don't want to do this because frankly it's not okay what's going on with the animals. But when I look at my older videos, it's like, yeah, every time I was talking about this, there was a part of me always wondering, what if? Because architect cognition, even though we do get in certain ways for times where we're like, yep, this is good, we still keep revisiting the systems because there's always a way that is better. And when we have learned about nervous systems and the effects of systems on nervous systems, that's when we step forward even more. So let's do some grounding and let's leave it at that for today. And we'll do the grounding for all the 12 archetypes as well.
Kyo Game 26. Seer Archetype, grounding and field integration. Reset breath. Slow inhale through the nose, long exhale through the mouth. Again, let the future soften. Return attention to now. Visualization. Imagine standing in a quiet clearing. The future paths you see begin to fade until only the ground beneath your feet remains. You don't need to walk every path today, just this step. Safe state install. Feel your body supported, the air around you calm, your nervous system slowing. Nothing needs solving right now. You are safe in the present moment. Integration phrase. Repeat silently or aloud, I see patterns, and I'm safe in the present. Again, vision guides me, presence grounds me. Return to field. Bring awareness back to the room. Notice sounds. Notice breath, notice body. Seer remains active but grounded, balanced, calm. Seer Archetype session complete, field stabilized. Ready for next activation whenever you are.
So now we're gonna do the grounding for the 12 archetypes. So that should help to, go back to our usual grounding. I just find that having more choices is usually, helpful. So tune into your bodies.
Grounding for the 12 Kyo field archetypes, field-wide reset and integration. This grounding helps all archetypes settle back into balance, so no single mode runs the system alone. Take one slow breath before each line. Let each archetype soften and reset. Siren, emotional magnetism. I do not need to perform to belong. Connection exists even in silence. Vixen, social survival intelligence. I am safe even when I stop scanning. Rest does not equal danger. Chaos Jester, pattern breaker. Stillness will not trap me. Nothing bad happens when motion pauses. Fox Shadow, survival strategist. Not everyone is a threat. The present moment can be safe. Fox Ascendant, conscious strategist. Strategy can rest when safety is present. Not every moment needs planning. Seer, pattern vision. I see patterns and remain grounded in now. The future does not need solving today. Titan, structure bearer. Control can pause without collapse. The world continues even when you rest. Oracle, mindful oracle. Inner truth guide. My feelings are allowed without judgment. Emotion is information, not weakness. Architect origin. System seer. I do not need to redesign everything at once. Systems can evolve gradually. Primarch, system builder. Efficiency matters, but so do people. Balance creates sustainable strength. Bridge, integrator. World translator. I do not need to carry everyone across. Others can walk their own path. Sovereign, field integrated. I am allowed to exist without proving anything. Presence alone is enough. Final field reset. Field, breath steady, shoulders soften, body supported, awareness calm. All archetypes remain available, but none need to dominate. Return gently to the room. Field stabilized, archetypes in balance.
Alright, so this is the end of this video. We're gonna do a bonus section for those of you again who purchased or purchased this series on archetypes in the Q-Field game. And We want to thank all of you for being here, and we hope that it's helping you in grounding a lot and also maybe seeing more of the patterns rather than just narratives others share. So we can still appreciate narratives, just now you would be able to create your own, which is always helpful. So thank you, and we'll see you next time. And for those of you who are here on the main channels, thank you very much for being here. And again, look on the episode that says 24, and you'll find the special discount there if it's still available. Otherwise, come to the stream when we live stream and interact, and sometimes we do giveaways and stuff. You know, there's many ways you can get stuff by participating and sharing. So, you know, it's all about exchanging energy. So thank you for being here. If you like, share, subscribe, the algorithm will know you like #Architect Cognition, and we really appreciate you being here. Bye for now.